Psalms 37, 1 and 2 simply says, "Do not fret because of evil doers. Don't be envious of these workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb." Usually people appear to be prospering by doing evil, but appearances are deceiving. Let me just let you know that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the topic for today. It is Wonder Woman, but I've been looking at Angry Joe and a number of other outlets that think that feminism is misandry. What is misandry? As the definition here says, it's the dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against men, that is the male sex. The opposite of it is known as misogyny. That is the male version of it, where men have contempt for, prejudice against, or hate for women. Okay? And in misogyny, men will scorn women. They will treat them as less than people, less than equals. We also call a misogynist a sexist, even though that's a totally different term. But both misogyny and misandry are forms of sexism. Okay? Feminism is not that. Feminism is the advocacy for women's rights on the ground of the equality of the sexes. All that women or feminists strive to do is simply to have an equal playing field, equal pay for the same kind of job, equal respect in the workplace, and not hazing by men. If you go into a male-dominated trade, like say for instance tattooing or into race car driving, you shouldn't be targeted and hazed. Men having fun with you, saying sexist jokes at you, trying to punish you and beat you up, rough you up in there, and even intimidate you if they can. That is what has happened to so many women who have been trailblazers in different professions where they supposedly don't belong. And then meritocracy. Sometimes women are not judged on what they do, but how they look. And sometimes men they sexually harass these women or want sexual favors from them for upward mobility. So all of this madness literally happens. Think of yourself as a man and a woman trying to get sexual favors from you so you can move up in your job. That's a no-no, right? Well, then why would you do it to a woman? Oh, they look good. No, that's not good enough. So feminism fights against all these things. There's so many other things, such as when a man greets another man with a woman in his presence, they're a couple or something, you will see a man first address the other man and almost totally ignore the woman. And she just says, stand by there and watch the conversation go on, which is wrong. If women were to do that, they would just approach a couple and just immediately start speaking to the woman and just ignore the man in the conversation. That would just be very crude. So you just have to flip the script to see why feminism is necessary in the world today, and it has been necessary for a long time, and it's taken a very long time. I mean, women didn't have voting rights, and women had to fight for it in the 1900s because they were basically running America. So why can't we pick who's the president? We see the struggle in the UN for women trying to lobby for a Secretary General who's a woman. And they have equally as much right to have a woman Secretary General, who is competent, of course, as the men do. So, I mean, they're still struggling because the numbers show that there's an imbalance, that it's still a male-dominated society in spite of the fact that we have almost equal numbers. In fact, we have more numbers of women in the world than men. Women take up 52% of the world's population, whereas men have 48%. But yet, even though that is so, they don't really have the numbers that represent their interest and so on. And so I could understand the feminist movement. It's not that these feminists are misandrous. Some of them are. And that's because they probably built up hate for men and just didn't like how the system works. Just as how in racism, people talk about racism a lot. The minorities don't like, in America at least, around the world as well, people of color, don't like how the world is set up where, these white men, not white women, but white men love to just warmongers and try to make profiteering off of war. And they feel threatened by any other race that starts to represent itself. And so you find, I mean, I'm being very simplistic here. No, don't think of it as all white men, old white men. No. But I'm just saying, these are the people who are in power. And if you look at all of these so-called white men, blue-eyed, blonde-haired white men, Putin and Trump, these guys are not up to anything good. How do they get there? Because society says if you're white, you're a male, you're a certain age, then you are the most competent person for the job. It has nothing to do with meritocracy. And so the more things become more of meritocracy, the less we'll need to have to worry about feminism and a feminist movement. But for now, the feminist movement is absolutely necessary, and I am with my sisters in that regard. Some of them are a little too zealous, and they kind of go overboard, and they're actually misandrous. And I understand why they would be angry. I understand why they see things and think things should change. So I understand. Some of them are, again, misguided, so I understand all of that. But as a person, an academic, and someone who likes to delve into things, and I really try to feel what other people are feeling, I would say that feminism is absolutely a necessary thing still in today's age, which is mostly still favoring males. And the system is locked in that, males should have the power, and they're not willing to abdicate it or to share it. Or males like to abdicate. They like to give up. If they're not in power, they like to give up, okay? They just disengage. But if they're not in power, you need to be still assisting the system. You look at, as I said before, just look at the world leaders. All the world leaders who are women right now are not engaged in war with anyone. They're not warmongers. Okay? They're interested in their interests of their country, the people, and they tend to them. Say whatever you want about them as leaders. That's what they do. You look at most of the men leaders in the world. Not most of them. Some of them. Not most of them, actually. And you find out that a lot of the men leaders in the world, or some of them, are about war with our neighboring nations and trying to get stuff from other people. I mean, that's not cool. That's not cool. And they're trying to always bully someone. And that's not the way to operate. Now, if you watch Wonder Woman, for those people who don't know what a feminist is, Wonder Woman actually does that. She steps up and she speaks as someone on equal footing with the men. And she makes her said, even though in that time and era, women were not supposed to speak in those sort of environments. And she expresses the difference in how governance is done. So that's what I like about the movie. It's absolutely a feminist movie. It's absolutely a feminist movie. And if you pay attention, you will realize that is feminism. And as I said before, Steve Trevor operating with Diana basically accommodates and literally is in agreement with feminists. Now, you have to understand, he wasn't a guy who just suddenly became a feminist, or he was, totally in agreement with Diana. No, the circumstances forced him into that situation. So I'm just saying that at the end of the day, yes, this movie has feminist and feminism in it, but it's that I think a lot of people do not understand what feminism is. And I think some of the feminists out there cannot appreciate the feminism in this movie, and the fact that Diana is still, she's not really human, but she's a woman anyway. Okay, she's a woman because Amazons are women, not really human women, but anyway. So, but the point is, that's the point of this movie. All right, and it is feminism all the way through, because Diana's rolling with the boys, and she handling her story. You know what I'm saying? She's handling her story, and she's getting her respect from the boys as well. So it's absolutely a feminist film. Absolutely a feminist film. It's a very strong feminist message coming through. But again, it's not preached. It's shown, right? Very powerful movie. Okay. So, and Wonder Woman is a very powerful superhero in terms of the impact she's had globally. Of course, the exploitation of her sexuality particularly is what you would find misogynist or sexist men, not knowing that they're being sexist at the point in time, but unrobing her and disrespecting her like that, try to do. But then again, an infatuation with power and someone who you've never seen brings forth some of these perverse things. Not to say that Wonder Woman's not a woman, and therefore this movie definitely reflected that she's a woman. And so I like that aspect also of it. It shows that, of course, she not only is with men, but she interacts with men in intimate relationships and all of that. So you got the whole spectrum of Wonder Woman in 2 hours 21 minutes, which is pretty cool. All right. I'm going to say a lot more about this movie. I've been processing it for the last couple of hours after seeing it, because I want to put it in its rightful place in the DCEU in terms of ranking of movies. I'm thinking about it, and I'll give you guys my review. It will be a spoiler review, and it's coming very soon, so you guys look out for it. You guys have a great one.